already know what time it is. It's your boy DJ Richie Skye back with some tea, interviews, recaps, and more. And be sure to check the links in the description of this video for trips, for books, one-on-one sessions, and more. Now let's get into the tea. I like calling these segments Reality Exposed because they kind of expose the reality behind the reality, right? Or at least allegedly. Let's get into the Biznai E. Okay, so our friends over at the Bravo Shade Room posted a sneak peek where Shamia and Kelly are collecting some donation items for Grenada, right? So Brit comes over and she has like a little box. I would be expecting a bit more based on what we have seen from Shamia and Kelly, but okay. Here's the thing. Brit expresses regrets about her country club classic event and says that it basically isn't really representation. It wasn't a good representation of what she was attempting to do. All right. I've had plenty to say about this event. I didn't think that it was done very well. Of course, the guests that were in attendance did not get food items. The only people that got food bites were the cast members themselves. I just felt like that was not the way to go. Feed everybody who's there if it's a small, intimate event. Otherwise, only have it for the cast. That's just how I feel, but you guys let me know what you think. I just think that, it was done all wrong. Well, the event planner has some things to say. So let's get into what they had to say. Shout out to the Bravo Snark side, okay? Because Brit Eady is being called out by the event, quote, decorator after Brit blamed her for messed up event on screen. Okay, so the caption reads, Brit is being called out by the decorator. Now I'm putting quotation marks, decorator. She hired to decorate her event. Now, the woman is known as Bella, the founder of and CEO of Infinity Events ATL. She took to Instagram to defend her company after the last episode of The Real Housewives of Atlanta and Brit's messed up event. Bella, in her post, made it clear that she was only responsible for decorating, not food or anything else. Bella also states that she has not been fully paid by Brit for her work. So she wrote, Hi, I'm Bella. I want to address my appearance on The Real Housewives of Atlanta, where I decorated an event for Brit Eady. Now, I think if you blinked real fast, you would have seen Brit address some of these mishaps in the episode with the event planner, right? Again, it was a blink and you miss moment, right? And of course, things weren't set up outside as they were supposed to have been. There was a lot going on. Now, she says this, as the event decorator, I fulfilled everything I was asked to do and more. However, some behind the scenes details weren't shown. I want to be clear. I was not responsible for the food. Brittany asked me to design a menu based on her selections, and the restaurant was in charge of providing and serving it. Secondly, the venue was not available for private use. The club was open and operating, and me and my team arrived early, not late, and was moved around due to production, lighting, etc. All things that were out of our control. We overdid our job. So, what it sounds like is the country club, and just kind of understanding how production works, it sounds like the country club was open, right? From what she's saying here. So, what does that mean? That means that paying guests of the country club are going to be able to maneuver about in any way that they see fit because they are paying for the event, which would tell me that in the event planning world that the entire space was not booked, right? So I can't really tell if there was a specific space that was booked and then later reshuffled, or if there was no specific space other than the room that may have been reserved, right? Because everybody did have seats. It did look like the place was set up for a sit down style, something or other plus presentation. So that could have been any number of, side rooms that they had available, or it could have been a first come, first serve type of situation, or it could have been a situation where you can't place your lighting, sound, and equipment and all of that stuff in here because now you have to have set up for at least 7 people who are mic'd. So that is going to require extra production for an all cast event. It's not going to be a simple production setup like it would be if it was like a 2 to 3 person cast event in one single place in a building, right? So if it had just been restricted to the one room, that would be one thing. But because her event was seemingly inside and outside, there was a lot of things going on. And I don't know if that was initially supposed to be the plan, right? So she goes on to say she chose to serve small bites due to budget constraints, which tells us that there was a budget, which, I mean, obviously there would be a budget, right? But what was the budget? Which she confirmed in a message. She says, I had no control over food quantity or service as I'm not an event planner or caterer. My role was strictly decor. I offered input on setup, including the use of high top tables and styling the dining table, which she approved. Lastly, any claims that I overcharged or misled anyone are false. I wasn't even fully compensated for my job and was still in dispute about my balance. There's a clear difference between an event decorator and an event planner. Confusing the two unfairly shifts blame. All right. So the event planner would have been overseeing the event decorator in most logistical situations, right? From at least from my experience in the events world. Which is minuscule in comparison to what I'm sure a typical event planner would have the expertise to explain to you guys, right? But from the best of my understanding, it would seem as though I can't really tell if she was still in dispute at that point for getting paid or if she is still in dispute for getting paid, because this would be almost a year later. Brit, you got some explaining to do. Typically, a lot of these events, from my understanding, are funded by, you would think, and maybe she thought this too, that it would be funded by the cast. I mean, by the production, right? And there are, in certain instances, events that are funded by production. I'm just not certain that this was one of them. And I'm not for certain that this would have been an agreed upon event that was funded by production, like let's say a cast trip, right? A lot of times these ladies will spend their own money for some of these events. And that looks like it may have been the case here, for which I would have to say, based on the comparables between, like, let's look at, Kelly's event. Let's look at Angela's event. Let's look at Shamia's event. Heck, we can even look at Kenya's event or Cynthia's events. You want your event to have all of the niceties that come along with, or even Portia's event at this point. You want your event to have all of the niceties that go along with, a housewives level event. This wasn't giving housewives level budget. This was giving something else. And I'm not sure what. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Lastly, we got to talk about, baby, the ongoing saga that is Jennifer Williams and Christian Gold versus the cast of The Basketball Wives.
Surprise, surprise. Surprise, surprise.
All right. So, in the midst of the latest episode of Basketball Wives, the watch party, I guess, on Jennifer's end was happening. And here's what they had to say.
Hey, hey babe, we watch it live. How many times they say Jen? I don't know.
I don't know. Let's count. Let's give the winner a prize.
If you can count how many times they say Jen, we got a prize for you. We don't figure out what the prize is.
We have to go back and watch it.
We have to go back and watch it.
But here's the thing, I haven't seen.
The comments are really lethal at this point. I'm just gonna let you guys know because I mean the people are going in about let's count the number of victims, let's count the number of people that you need to pay. And again, somebody said they're gonna scam the winner, pay them people first. You know, and then some people are like, Jen is one gorgeous woman. Maybe that's why grandma is hating. I guess she's talking about Evelyn. Someone else says it seems like they're both happy, and I hope truly happy. Someone else says I love them both. She has been classy since day one. Someone else says I don't know. I like Jen having someone to have her back like this. She was always so alone. Just hope he don't scam her. No, I don't know. I like Jen having someone to have her back like this. She was always so alone. Just hope he don't scam her. I mean, that is true. Jen has, for the most part, been a lone wolf on the show and typically has had to sort of defend herself with very little backup. And maybe that's why she's really embracing him and his family so much.
Episode 3, I just caught the end of it. And yeah, Brandi, really? Wow.
What did Brandi say at the end of last episode that was so bad? I mean, I felt like they sat down and had a ponderosa and they both expressed their feelings and they came to a mutual resolve. So anything that Brandi said in her confessionals that may have seemed shady, I felt like Jennifer said in her confessionals that was also equally as shady about Brandi, but yet they still came to a resolve at the end of the day. So I feel like all is fair. It's fair play at this point, right? Or no, am I wrong? Did Brandi say something that stuck out to you guys? Maybe I need to go back and watch it again after I run my appointments today, but I'm just kind of like, what did Brandi do now? Brandi stays in hot water. I think that's why I like her so much for this show, because she just puts her foot in her mouth for some reason, and she never has any idea how she did so. And I think that that's what makes for a great reality TV personality, somebody that is always stuck in the middle because of their own shortcomings, which is usually typically strong feelings for both sides. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. How many times did they say Jennifer's name last episode? That is a good question. Let us know in the comment section down below. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do so. Hit that notification bell button, and I will catch you in the next video.